Let's get it. So welcome to the segment of the show we call 5 Minutes of Fire, that unapologetically part where we just tell you how it is and what it should be. And hopefully it lights a fire up under you. So today we're going to talk a little bit about business during the COVID, during the pandemic, So I want to start off with this question. I want to know, what has COVID taught you about business, specifically your business? Are you still hanging in there? It's been tough out here. Are you one of the people, one of the businesses that's like really blossoming and thriving during this time? Or have you had to fold, and that's not a condemnation if that's what was necessary, because, a lot of sectors of government in different cities, different states, have closed down businesses, by no, will of their own or whatever. So you may be one of those businesses. And if so, are you planning a comeback? But you may be one of those people who you've birthed your business during this pandemic. And if you're one of those people, hats off to you for your bravery, your courage, making that life change and eliminating excuses and just jumping off the porch, And this segment, though, is about those of you who have been in business, that's been half-assing and shortcutting doing business. So right now, we're 6 months into this thing, 6 months into the pandemic. And I think back just over 5 months ago where like my calendar lit up. All the phones was ringing off the hook, and we were just inundated with like new prospects or whatever. And that sounds like a good thing, right? Yeah, no, because people were being somewhat, unrealistic. It was people who had been hearing my voice, and this was the reason they were reaching out, is because I had talked about these things pretty much since day one. I mean, BOSS is an acronym. It's the Business Operations Success Suite. And the program, the radio show, just developed out of that. But this is individualized product to help people, really have their businesses operate correctly and in compliance or whatever. So what happened was, these people had been hearing my voice, but had elected not to take heed to my words. And so, 5 months ago, the government started just handing out billions of dollars with really like the most lax requirements in history of business funding. Like, it was just unreal, the minimal amount of requirements that were necessary to get business funding, right? And so everybody wanted in, and they're scrambling, to get in their applications. But some lenders had the audacity to want documentation. Can you believe that? They actually wanted all kinds of crazy records, like prior tax returns and first quarter profit and loss and payroll documentation, all this stuff you're supposed to have if you're in business. And so the phone is like blowing up. We're getting these calls from these so-called business owners, who they want these types of documents produced in a week or so they can take advantage of the funding, because people are lining up, the applications were backlogged. It was really, really kind of a crazy time, because even when they was like, hey, we ran out of money, or whatever. We're like, hey, apply anyway, and sure enough, they tightened the screws a little bit and said, okay, well, we want to make sure the right businesses get this money and everything. And what ended up happening was a new wave was kind of released, and people that had kind of threw their hands up in the air come running back like, hey, I need this documentation, or whatever. And the even more ludicrous part, people wanted this stuff turned around in a week or so, which is not something we do under normal circumstances, much less with the pandemic going on or whatever, this inundation of calls. But these people had like no records, nothing to build from, nothing to, produce the type of documentation that they were seeking or whatever. They had no records of anything other than social media posts. The ones that say they can show you how to make $30,000 a month, but they don't have a profit and loss statement. You haven't filed taxes on your business in 3, 4, 5 years. Really? So obviously we couldn't help these people, right? And here's the crazy part, though. Because we couldn't help them create fictitious records, they didn't engage us to start getting their business, together, even though there had been talk of a second wave of funding. And so here's the question I have for you. If there was a second wave of funding announced today, let's say they were going to start taking applications on Monday, is your business ready? Understand, if there's a second wave, there will be way more scrutiny and qualifiers, but it is nothing short of a damn shame that so many of you who claim to be doing business didn't have so many of the most basic things that is essential to helping you navigate in business, essential to helping you make data-driven decisions. Stop half-assing. I always say every book tells a story. What does your company book say about your business? Get your business legitimate. Get your operations in order. Get boss. Get behind the shield. This has been 5 Minutes of Fire. I hope we lit a fire under your ass. See you next week.